Welcome to the Mayor's Update for August 2015. I'm Eric Hicks with the City of Everett. Each month we take some time with Mayor Ray Stephanson to talk about the issues and projects that matter to you. Welcome, Mayor.
Thank you, Eric. Nice to see you, and I think we're both in our summer garb here. I figured, so many days of the week that I work, I have to wear a tie, and so I've decided this summer I'm going to relax a little more.
It's nice to be relaxed. Mayor, I'd like to start by talking about the legislative session. After going into a third session, the legislature finally adjourned in early July. Can you expand on what items came with this and how they impact the future of Everett?
I sure can. This was really a significant year legislatively for the state of Washington, and I think particularly the impact on the city of Everett. I think in terms of the programs, the transportation infrastructure, which I'll talk a little bit more about in just a moment, and all the work that the legislature did, probably one of the most beneficial years we've had in over a decade. So I think that's, it ended in a really good place. Although there were some tense moments right up through June. As you remember, there was a threat of shutting the government down in the state of Washington, which would have been disastrous, but that was avoided. There are still some lingering issues, so let's talk about really the two significant pieces for the city of Everett, and then I'll touch on a few other issues. We did get over $50 million to build the new University Center, which is a Washington State University building. That'll be at the corner of Tower and Broadway. It's beneficial for so many reasons, but it'll really be the new University Center as the population for students grow in the consortium of universities. There's almost 600 students out there now. We expect just in a very few years we'll grow that to nearly 2,000. In addition to that building starting this year, I think construction, that building should be up and operational in 2017. We've got additional aviation management, computer science classes. There's also a sustainable food degree that will be offered. That's important to Skagit and East and North counties of Snohomish. So that's really going to be what we've talked about and has been our vision and dream, and Dr. Floyd's dream is to bring that high quality research university education to our community. So it's just, it's so heartwarming to see this take place, and I know Dr. Floyd would have been very pleased with how far we've come. Also, we were huge advocates with Washington State University and Dr. Floyd before he died to bring medical education to Everett and to the state of Washington. So he did get approval and authority to do that, and obviously knew that before his passing, so I'm sure he took a great deal of satisfaction and pride from that accomplishment. But just in a very few years, we're going to be educating students here for a medical degree to become doctors for rural parts of our state, and that's going to be significant, particularly with Providence Medical Center here. So on the education front, I just feel that in terms of the companies we have, the demand that's out there, preparing our students and families for great family-age jobs in the future, we are really well positioned, and a lot of great strides were made this year. Let me just turn for a second, Eric, to the transportation infrastructure. We've been several years trying to get a transportation budget from the legislature. We all feel the impact of traffic. It's really gotten significant. The average commute now from Everett to Seattle is some 122 minutes. When I came to office in 2003, about 15,000 people left Snohomish County every day to work in King County. That number is now in excess of 40,000. It's huge, and we see that congestion every day. So what this transportation package offers Snohomish County and Everett, the big one will be 2016, we'll get light rail to Everett on the ballot for citizens to vote on. That's a significant improvement. That's some 20 years out. It'll be 2033 to 35 before it's completed. But you've got to start somewhere, and we will be watching that closely to make sure that Everett gets everything it deserves in that package. The transportation, the hard concrete and asphalt projects that are important to Everett, there'll be a running shoulder lane for peak hours from Everett to Marysville, and then the reverse of that coming in the morning. That will relieve a lot of the congestion that we feel in Everett today. A big freight mobility project from the Port of Everett to Boeing. We experienced a lot of congestion and difficulty moving freight from our port, and that project will be really important. A new half interchange at Hardison Road and the Boeing Freeway 526. That'll really give two major ways in and out of that aerospace cluster. And then around the county, the expansion of the SR9 bridge in Snohomish, 531, which is Smoky Point, if you're going east, by the end of the airport, that narrows down to a 2-lane road. That'll be expanded. And a number of other great projects, because a lot of the people that work in Everett, as you know, live in the county. They live out north, or they live east, and it's difficult to get in and out of here. So really pleased with the progress the legislature made. The one caveat here, the governor has threatened unilaterally to pass a carbon tax actually implement a carbon tax by executive order. The difficulty with that is he would jeopardize about $1 billion of that transportation money that's slated to go to buses, to safe routes to school, to community transit and bus rapid transit. If he takes that route, and I've urged him not to, as well as other leaders around the state, that money will default back into the transportation budget and won't be available for multimodal projects. So we're hoping that he doesn't do that, and I would urge any of our viewers that are concerned about that to please urge the governor not to pursue that, to find other ways in upcoming legislative sessions as opposed to doing it unilaterally.
Wow, those are quite a bit of updates.
It's a lot of work, yeah. It's really been a busy session. I want to thank our legislators from around Snohomish County in the 38th District to 44th. It's fun to see them grow in stature and responsibility, but they've done a great job for us, and I appreciate it.
Wow. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about higher education and water conservation.
Low river levels and record hot and dry weather have significantly increased the demand for water. Seattle, Tacoma, and Everett all remind you to water your lawn and garden either before 8 a.m. or after 7 p.m.
For more tips, go to savingwater.org.
Welcome back to the Mayor's Update. So, Mayor, another important element of the legislature is higher education.
Yes.
And in particular, the Washington State University. I know you touched on this a little earlier, but there was some very noteworthy funding that came out of the special sessions.
Right.
Can you please expand on what residents can expect to see happening here in the next few months?
Sure. Well, I think that, as I mentioned earlier, to get authority to build this building is huge. The current University Center is in Gray Wolf Hall, and that's on the main Everett Community College campus. And the projections all along have been that by 2017, with the growing student population, growing programs, that we would be out of space. So to get the authority this year to move ahead to build that new building, the timing couldn't be more perfect. So what residents will expect to see this August, probably late August, early September, is you'll start to see construction activity occur. I drove by there the other day and noticed the sign was up talking about the future growth. It's a 95,000 square foot building. It's going to be a beautiful building, 4 stories. I think the other added benefit is it really is helping revitalize that North Broadway corridor. That's where so many people come into the city, and it's been an area that's been pretty blighted for a number of years. And Everett Community College has built a new building, and now to have this new building on the shopping center side is going to be really terrific. So construction will occur over the next 18 to 24 months. As part of this, we acquired the old, some property behind Subway, just to the north of there, as well as the trailer court. Those folks in the trailer court have been given a year's notice that the property will become owned by the community college and University Center people. So the purpose in doing that is to replace the surface parking that'll be lost in that construction area. We're really mindful out there, Eric, that there's so many neighborhoods in and around there that are potentially impacted with a growing student population and or any kind of disruption or construction, that we really have planned carefully to replace what was lost, so we wouldn't put any more pressure on the neighborhood than we absolutely have to.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you. Those all sound great, and there's a lot of unique opportunities for this campus. But on a sad note, Washington State University President Elson Floyd passed away in June. I know you mentioned that earlier. You worked closely with Dr. Floyd as a changing force behind getting Washington State University campus to Everett. Right. How does this loss impact Washington State University, and also the Everett community, and what does the Everett campus in particular doing to preserve his memory?
He and I were close friends, and anytime you lose a close friend, it's never easy. I knew this last spring that he was ill. I didn't realize till a little later how serious it was, that it was terminal. We did get to say our goodbyes, which was important. He was a very private guy, but what I'll always remember is that after several years of trying to encourage University of Washington to come to Everett, and to see that really fall apart for reasons that some of them I'll never understand, I reached out to Dr. Floyd and said, we've got an incredible community here. We've got a county that's underrepresented in terms of higher education. We've got aerospace, health science, we've got military, we've got this incredible workforce that needs the kind of education that Washington State provides, and we just don't have a partner. And he, with almost from the get-go, was wildly enthusiastic about being here. And so we worked hand in glove to make that happen. One of the most significant and first steps, and frankly it was a battle, was to get University Center, which is a consortium of other public colleges under the leadership of Washington State University. And as I mentioned, that was one of the tougher political battles I've ever been in, and he and I still stood shoulder to shoulder to make that happen. And then, since then, we've been expanding program, getting Washington State the authority to start educating medical students. Before that happened, University of Washington was the only college that could do that. So we're having an impact on the well-being of our citizens for years to come. I guess, though, really to your question, I think the culture of Washington State University has evolved and matured to the point where there will be no backing away from the commitment in Everett and Snohomish County. I think, if anything, you know, in his memory, we will all work extra hard to make sure that it happens in a very robust way. Just very recently, Alex Peach, who was the governor's guy on aerospace, has been hired by Washington State University to be an interface to industry and education. And one of the primary responsibilities he will have is ensuring that this Everett campus stands up and grows and prospers. So I feel very good that we've got the foundation we need, and in Elson's memory, we'll continue to make this happen in a way that he would be very proud.
Good to hear that. Well, change gears a little bit. Mayor, as you know, we've been experiencing drier conditions than normal.
Yeah.
This is also affecting the water supply in some areas in the state. What is Everett doing to make sure that we're being cautious about the water that we have?
Well, we monitor, obviously, our consumption very, very closely. And the demand in a dry summer season is always higher. Most water supplies that I'm aware of are very dependent on snowpack. And we all know the snowpack was very low this year, almost non-existent in some areas. That's not true in the city of Everett. Our water supply is really rain-fed in an area in Spada Lake and Lake Chaplin that is, you know, sees 400 inches of rain a year. And that rainfall has really diminished. So we've taken sort of the first very precautionary step to just encourage our citizens to be responsible about water use. There's no reason to panic. I mean, we are not in any kind of crisis situation at all. And for all of us who have lived here for any amount of time, we know the rains will eventually come. That's part of who we are. But it's things, and we've joined in a common message with the cities of Tacoma and Seattle to say, you know, if you're going to water your lawn, water on the days you're supposed to, water early in the morning or late at night when the consumption is not high. Use a car wash. A car wash actually recycles much of the water that they use, and there's real convenient ways to do that. I'm in both of my cars, I'm signed up on a monthly pass so I can wash whenever I need to, and it's been really convenient and less work, which is, when you're busy, is nice. Things like, you know, if you're washing a load of clothes or a load of dishes in the dishwasher, make sure it's full, you got a full load. It's just the smart things, you know, we want people to pause and think about, you know, am I being responsible in what I'm doing? The other thing that's, you know, we're quickly in the city of Everett moving to meters. And the other thing that's oftentimes people don't realize, if you got a running toilet, I mean, it's gallons of water a day. It doesn't seem like it's much, but you know, you can get kits at any hardware store to fix those. We actually, if you go on the website too, we have you know, free devices that will help conserve water, like shower heads and so on. So if you get on and check our website out, you'll see there's some things you can do. But it's just being smart and being cautious, and we're going to get through this just fine.
Those are some great options for our citizens. Lastly, Mayor, National Night Out is coming. One of the many events that go on throughout the summer and here in the city. I know this is a big event for our neighbors throughout Everett, and we're going to have some of our firefighters and police out making stops at the different neighborhoods, and I know you'll be out there as well. Why is this event so important to the city for us to participate in?
Well, it's it's an opportunity to once a year really shine a spotlight and focus on all of us collectively doing everything we need to be safe in our homes and in our businesses. We have a lot of great literature and information, and it's a fun time for neighbors to get together and socialize and create block watch programs and the like. It's the added advantage. I mean, there's 17 organized neighborhoods in the city of Everett, and every one of them have great food. So I know that's why you and your fellow firefighters are out there. But no, and they love seeing you guys, and the kids like to crawl around and look at the fire engines and the aid cars, and so thank you for doing that. And our police are out there as well. We really want to be about community, about neighborhoods. I mean, we really try to focus our whole police effort on being, sort of neighborhood friendly, knowing who your officers are in your community, be on a first name basis. And it's just so important. I mean, unfortunately, there are bad people out there that are doing bad stuff, but I believe that if we, through an effort like National Night Out and then every other day of the year, can focus on those things to protect our property and our well-being, and we band together, I mean, there's nothing that can stop us in terms of being a great community. So look forward to seeing you out there and all of our citizens as well.
Great. Thank you so much for all of those updates. Really appreciate everything you give us.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Hope to see you again next month.